Wales versus Italy. It finished 42-0. A bit one-sided, let's be honest. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, the best place road predictions and opinion. And joining me to go through all the actions is Nix. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, good. We had our little Wayne's World moment before this. You're probably too young. Probably don't remember the movie where they count down 5, 4, 3, and everyone's
That's what you were doing
as they watch the numbers count down. Yeah, so we had that moment before going live tonight. But yes, all good fun and games. The Wales, I mean, they took this game seriously. Came out of the blocks by kicking their threes and building a score. Pivac's going to be happy with the way that they kind of approach this game, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think, they got their bonus point, which was what they were after. And what I think really brought it home to me was the fact that right at the end, they could have kicked the ball out and won, with 37-0. And they kept going and got that fifth try. And that's how seriously they were taking it. They weren't messing about.
Well, I'm not sure about the or what was that a bit of festival rugby to try and get some people's stats up more than actually at the end there.
Let's face it, Josh Adams is looking pretty good right now.
Yep, got himself a hat trick this evening.
I think I wrote it down. I think it's 14 tries in 22 matches. Since the beginning of 2019, he's scored more tries than any other player globally, which is impressive.
In international rugby, before anyone
in international rugby, yes, yeah.
So he did that. Other try scoring things, just as we're talking about it. George North scored his 40th try tonight, equaling Gareth Thomas in the old record books. There.
And I thought North did okay at centre.
Yes.
I'm not going to be more enthusiastic than that because he's no Jonathan Davis at the end of the day, in the nicest possible way.
And he wasn't asked too many questions either, which is another thing. Right.
Sorry?
He wasn't asked too many questions either.
No, he wasn't. So I think it was one of those days when the backs looked quite good because they weren't under an enormous amount of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair to him and McNichol managed to get their particularly to get their allocations right. We've seen so matching up against the right players, so they didn't have any of that kind of confusion. So defensively, nicely done. But as I said, not too many questions being asked really by Italy.
Yeah, I mean, the player I thought who did brilliantly was Tompkins when he came on. When he came on for McNichol's HIA, and then when he came on with 25 minutes to go. And I thought he just looked very assured at that level, very sort of calm, composed. I could see him being picked next week to play Ireland. I'm not sure that Pivac would go with George North in the centre next week.
Yes, it seemed like a step backwards picking him there rather than a look to the future and moving forward. To be honest, we've seen George North there before, and if he's not going to play there regularly, you don't want him playing there at international level. To be honest, to me it was a poor choice selection there. But we're talking Tompkins. McNichol also, the other new boy for Wales, was very active, cut off his wing, getting involved a lot. And you had this kind of mix where you had the biggers and Halfpenny doing your kicking. Then you had two wingers in Josh Adams, who saved his wing mostly, and McNichol, who were happy to run it. And it gave a nice balance to that back line.
Yeah, I think so. It looked good.
In that first half, Italy managed to find some gaps in that Welsh defence, particularly with the delayed pass, but they couldn't do anything with it once they got those. They really lost that breakdown battle in that first half and just turned the ball over far too much.
I mean, there's been a lot talked in the UK press this week about the Welsh back row and whether or not they would miss Navidi because of his hamstring strain. I don't think they did miss him. That back row looked really good, and that was the area certainly that, the way the press were talking, the area that Italy were going to challenge, and they just didn't seem to be in the game for a lot of it. So about the last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half, but they just couldn't convert that possession and territory to points.
Yeah, in the end, looking at the match, the try to look at the match stats, but they don't come up. He says, but the turnovers, it says 11 to 19 conceded, but it was at least 5 to 15 at one point. And Italy just couldn't hold on to that ball in that first half, and then Wales went through the phases, and then would find that gap and score. Bigger, a man reborn this season.
Yeah, he was looking really, really good out there. It was really, I like Bigger. I've always liked Bigger. I think he gets a hard time from people, and he looked like he was having fun, and he looked sort of confident, and yeah, he was in control, and he was really pulling the strings, which is great. I mean, it's fantastic to see.
It is, and we've seen a lot less of the angry Bigger over the last 12 months or so.
Much less.
And which so I think he's got the psychology side of it sorted out now. The difference between being intense and actually being relaxed enough to play. And he's got that balance right, and has had a bit more of a license to try things out through the legs today. For Josh Allen's first try, you're going to see a lot of that on Twitter and Facebook clips. So yeah, if you haven't seen it already, it'll be out there. But yeah, no, I'm happy to see him. Him and Sexton both used to be players that I admired their skills, but didn't like the aggro that they played with. Sexton still has it. Bigger seems to have matured nicely.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see how Sexton gets on this afternoon being captain. Because I think that's either going to sort the aggro out or it's going to spill over, and I think it's probably just as well at Scotland he's playing first time round. less of a chat. I can say that as a Scot, but it's less of a challenge. If he was playing England, I think he'd probably boil over.
And a big English person with Farrell obviously as captain. I think it's a bad option having people like Farrell and Sexton as captains. Two guys, who look. When you can get your team together to talk to your team is when the kick's taking place. So if you're taking the kick, you can't talk to your team.
Scotland have precisely the same issue having Hogg as the captain, because he will 50% of the kicks he will be taking, and he's also that step removed from what's going on in the set piece. So you want an Alan Wynne-Jones there who's calling the shots, who's right in the middle of it, and he knows exactly what's going on. Who's niggling who, all that kind of stuff.
So at least half the teams in the Six Nations have got the wrong captains, is basically what we're saying. So 21-0 at half time. Wales looking perhaps too comfortable going in at half time, because when they came out in the second half, the intensity did drop off. Italy, to be fair, sorted out their breakdown issues. They weren't kind of turning over quite so much to the breakdowns, but also Wales had sorted their defensive issues, so those delayed passes weren't working anymore. And we basically had pretty much a stalemate for 20 minutes of stuff that looked kind of nice from someone, but stuff that wasn't really actually going anywhere.
I mean, it took Wales a long time to get that fourth try, and you could see that they were starting to get a bit desperate. And
the third try didn't happen until the hour mark as well. So we had like 90 minutes after half time, no scores. Everyone thinking, oh well, Wales have got this try bonus point easy, but Italy just kept the ball in hand, going side to side. As I say, not going anywhere.
Well, exactly, you're not going anywhere at all, and it gets a little bit. I find it a little bit tedious after a while. I need a bit more excitement in my rugby. But I think the interesting thing I thought was that Wales's set piece, especially the line out, really didn't function well. And had they been playing a team who were more dominant and sharper, I think they would have been found out. So it will be interesting to see who gets picked to play against Ireland next weekend. Whether it's Owens, whether they bring in a different hooker, just how that works, because it was just sloppy today.
They lost 3 scrums, 3 of their own put-ins, and they lost 2 of their own line-outs. Yeah, the set piece did not fire for Wales today at all.
But it's one of those things you don't know if it's not firing because it's just not firing, or because it's not under pressure and they know they can get away with it not firing.
Yeah, well, say we'll see how that pans out. Yeah, definitely some work needs to be done there. Referee, I like Luke Pearce. I like the way he communicates. But yeah, the whistle was needed a lot today. 9 penalties by Wales, 10 by Italy, and surprisingly, 2 free kicks by Wales and 3 by Italy. 5 free kicks in this game. You don't see many free kicks in the game.
No, you don't anymore, do you? It's usually off the back of a scrum, I think, from memory. But you just don't see very many. I thought he refereed it well, especially the couple of tries, or the George North try, the first one that wasn't allowed.
Yep.
And there was an incident in the first half with a try again that just he was like, no, there was a knock on. I do think he's a really good quality referee.
Yep, absolutely. It takes his time, stays calm, and talks well with the players, and also with his other officials as well.
Yes, because he's the referee last weekend who the relationship broke down with the captain of one of the sides he was refereeing, and there was 90 seconds to go, and he just went, "I'm not talking to you anymore," and nominated somebody else. And I thought that was really good. That's symptomatic, I think, of how calm he is, because he could easily have shown a card at that point and just gone, "Do you know what? You're being an idiot. Go and cool down for 10 minutes." And he just solved the problem.
Well, I didn't actually see that, but I remember listening to the Maul Over podcast talking about it. And in my mind, if you've annoyed the referee so much he doesn't want to talk to you anymore, you deserve a yellow card. Get off the pitch. So yeah, just remember, folks, nobody is allowed within the law book to talk to the referee. It's convention that the referee is allowed, and the referees do like to have someone to talk to have that communication with the players. But the captain does not have a legal right to actually talk to the referee. It's up to the referee to allow him to do so. So if he's annoying the referee, seriously, get off the pitch.
Yeah.
A couple of the Italian players we should talk about, I think. Minozzi, Pockets, Dynamo, but just running down far too many blind alleys. And was well catered for. How about the Alan Canner kind of 10-12 combination? Were you happy with that?
Yeah.
Ball player?
Well, Alan confuses me because sometimes I think, obviously, he's got a Scottish parent, and sometimes I think we really missed a trick not getting him to play for Scotland. And then days like today, I'm like, actually, maybe we didn't. He just didn't really, it functioned, but I think that's probably the best you can say about it. But to be fair, I don't think he had the opportunity to show what he's actually capable of. I thought that Brayley did well, first game at scrum half, and yeah, I thought he did. There were a couple of try-saving tackles in there, and he was trying, but their back line just didn't seem to quite. Yeah, as you said, a lot of blind alleys, a lot of side to side, a lot of aimlessness, which is a shame because I think they're actually really talented. And whether it's just that's the first game under a new coach and they're not quite sure what's happening, I don't know. But it was, I think it was Zani in the second row who won his 118th cap today. So I think that makes him one of the most capped Italians ever. I want to say the most capped Italian, but I'm not completely convinced about that.
No, I don't think it's...
I'm taking my bets on that one.
Not more than Parisi, I don't think.
No. And of course, they're bringing him back for the last game against England in Rome for his swan song. But whether he starts or whether they bring him on for 30 seconds, I don't know. I thought that was a little bit harsh on the current back row.
Well, possibly, but yeah, as you say, he's deserved his. Having put up with over 100 losses playing for Italy, he's earned that kind of right to have one last hurrah. Yeah. Bellini in that back, the winger, 5 turnovers conceded. You've got to look after the ball a lot better than that. Tom Allen lost it twice as well in contact. They just weren't. As we talked about earlier, they lost the breakdown. But it wasn't necessarily the cleaners, but more that the players presenting the ball were far too loose with it at times.
It was just yeah, it's that kind of thing. You see it in schoolboy rugby. Well, schoolboy and girl rugby, you're taught to present the ball properly, and that just didn't seem to be happening. And there's a lot for them to work on. I mean, they're playing France in Paris next Sunday, but they are playing France, so it could go either way.
Well, we're going to see what France look like tomorrow. But some people go through lots of work. Alwyn Jones, 16 tackles. Wainwright, 17. Tupperick, 16.
Tupperick got man of the match over here, which I think, they had a lot of discussions about who was going to get it. I think because the team as a whole played well. But I mean, when you've got someone like him and Wainwright and Alwyn Jones and just their work rate, the forward pack of the opposition are always going to have a really hard afternoon.
They are. But one of the things here is that the three top tacklers were all on the Welsh side. And when you've won 42-0, that doesn't normally happen. Normally the opposition are the people who've had to make all those tackles, but they didn't. Wyn Jones also got through 13 tackles, but he gave up 4 penalties as a prop. So, a bit of some good and some bad from him and his piece on there. Canna, 15 tackles. So, quite a lot of running down his channel by Hadley Parks, predominantly, I think. So, it was it was a game. I think that's probably
I think it was a good first game for
half, actually.
Wales. A good first Six Nations game. He's tried some combinations. There's a lot to work on, because I don't think you want to come through a game like today and go, okay, great, we're playing Ireland next weekend, and what are we going to do this week because everything was perfect. You want to come through and think the line out didn't function properly. We've got to work on this. We've got to work on the number of penalties we're giving away. We've got to work on ball retention and turnover. So, I would hope that he's taking lots of positives from it.
And they also need to work on.
He looked quite happy.
Pardon?
He looked quite happy. I've got the TV on, so I've got the BBC were interviewing him. He looked quite chirpy. So.
Well, try bonus point.
What more could you ask? Nobody injured, which I think is
nobody injured. Try bonus point, and you've kept the opposition to 0.
Yeah,
you've ticked the boxes. So yes, Italy will be less happy. I mean, they'll be happy with some of the stuff they did in the first half. They will be less happy with the fact that they've got no. What's the word I'm looking for here? I've gone blank. If you give the Crusaders something happening in the 22, they'll score. They're clinical. Yeah, it's the lack of clinicality. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm using words like that. What am I doing?
I honestly thought that the last 5 minutes of the first half, I was really surprised that Italy didn't score.
Yeah.
Because they looked as though they were going to, and the second half, that 20-minute period at the beginning, and it just got slower and slower, and it looked less. And it was like, do you know what? Actually, just give the ball up now, because we know you're not going to score here.
So there you go. Well done, Wales. Much tougher games to come. Italy, you need to work on your clinicality, clearly, and that ball presentation is the big thing for Italy. For Wales, set piece are going to be the big things there for them. But congratulations to Wales. You've got your try bonus point. And Nick, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
So I'll be back after the Ireland versus Scotland game with Stephen Harris. So a purely New Zealand view of that game. So please do join me straight after that. I'll also be live straight after England versus France as well. So hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the bell as well, so you get notifications when I go live. And enjoy the rest of the rugby this weekend.